Discovered at the last moment. My incredible daughter's touching toast about my 12-hour absence. Graduation morning broke over the small Midwestern town with a golden hue, the sun painting the sky as Jack leaned against the wall of the factory, eyes heavy but heart resolute. He had just wrapped up a grueling 12-hour night shift, his rough hands finding solace against the steel frame of the building. He should have been sitting in the auditorium, watching his daughter Mia walk across the stage, a proud father ready to cheer her on. Instead, the screech of malfunctioning machinery echoed in his ears, keeping him tethered to the grindstone of labor. He feared being replaced, that one day his daughter would wear that label, the girl without a dad, as a permanent fixture in her life. But deep down, he believed the sacrifice was for the best. Mia adjusted the cap atop her head, anxious whispers swirling around her like a stormy cloud. She glanced around, hoping to spot her father in the crowd, needing his reassuring nod. But only empty seats greeted her restless gaze. Her voice trembled as she stepped up to the podium. "Today is supposed to be the happiest day of my life," she began, but the weight of disappointment twisted her insides. She could feel the eyes of her classmates on her, the stares that defined her existence as an outsider. "I wanted my dad here," she continued, clenching her fists. The crowd's breath seemed to halt, every word pulsing with raw emotion. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As her speech unfolded, she shared stories that echoed through the hall like whispers of wind, tales of late-night dinners where laughter battled exhaustion, and bedtime stories that painted the world outside their modest home bright. "My dad sacrificed everything for me." Tears welled in her eyes, her voice quaking. "He may not say it, but I see it. He works so hard, and that love is the kind that builds you up, even when you can't always feel it." In the back, Jack stood, smothered by a mixture of pride and regret. Each word from Mia struck him like a hammer, chiseling away the mistakes. He realized his labor was not chains of neglect, but rather the bricks of foundation he was trying to lay for her future. Their understanding had been trapped behind facades, and as Mia spoke, their truths collided with a force he never expected. As the applause enveloped the hall, Mia looked out and finally met Jack's gaze, a split second that lit a pathway through the shadows of misunderstanding. He could feel her longing, her grief. Yet amidst the roar of appreciation for Mia's words, the weight of unspoken emotions lingered between them. Would this day serve as regret? Or would it spark a new beginning? Jack's heart raced as he grappled with the reality that their bond, built on sacrifice, could withstand even the hardest of truths. The applause rang out, echoing through the auditorium like a vibrant heartbeat. Mia's heart raced, caught in the swell of emotions as she glanced away from her father's gaze, wanting to shield herself from the overwhelming realization that their worlds had never felt so far apart. The proud smiles surrounding her struck like daggers. They were filled with joy and familial warmth, everything she yearned for but felt painfully lacking in her own life. As she stepped down from the podium, a whirlwind of voices washed over her. Classmates offered congratulations, teachers beamed with pride. Yet she felt like an observer, drifting in a world that seemed to celebrate everything she wasn't. She hugged her diploma tightly, its edges folding into her palm, a tangible reminder of her accomplishments, yet too heavy with the burden of her father's absence. Jack stood rooted to the spot, the clapping hands around him turning into a muted ocean of sound. His heart felt like it was going to burst as he watched Mia. Regret coiled within him, tighter with each passing second. He knew he should have been there to wrap his arms around her, to share in the joy, but instead he stood a world away, trapped in his work. The stark contrast gnawed at him, a man determined to create a better life for his daughter, yet failing to show up when it mattered most. He took a deep breath and made his way through the crowd, weaving past families celebrating their children's achievements. The din of laughter turned into a soft blur as muffled conversations surrounded him like thick fog. He spotted Mia, still clutching her diploma, standing just outside the auditorium doors. The sunlight spilled onto her face, illuminating the tears that glistened in her eyes. Mia, Jack called softly, his voice barely rising above the hum. She turned to him, shocked disbelief frozen in her expression. The warmth of sunlight could not chase away the shadow of hurt that flickered behind her eyes. "Dad, you made it?" I wouldn't miss it for the world," he stammered, rushing to her side but unsure how to bridge the chasm that had opened between them. "Where were you?" Her voice was steady, but the pain cracked through, sharp and clear. "I needed you up there." I know, and I'm so sorry," he admitted, his heart sinking. "Today was a celebration, not just for you, but for us. I thought I could make it up later." "I didn't think." Her expression shifted, and the storm of emotions within her swelled. "This isn't just about today, Dad. It's about all the times you've been gone. I need more than just your sacrifices. I need you." The weight of her words settled around him, and for a moment, silence stretched between them. Each heartbeat pulsed loud and clear, spilling unspoken truths and promises of change. Jack met Mia's gaze, a wall between them now bearing cracks. Would he seize this moment to mend their connection, to show her that love wasn't just an exchange of labor, but a tangible presence? Suddenly, a voice broke through the tension, a familiar face at the edge of the crowd. "Hey, Mia. We're going out for ice cream. Join us." A classmate beamed, oblivious to the heavy moment hanging in the air. Mia hesitated, glancing at Jack, who felt the weight of her decision pressed against his skin. Would she choose to escape into the moment with friends, or would she reach out for something deeper? In that instant, Jack's mind raced with decisions. "I can come too," he said, an urgency behind his words. "We can celebrate together, just us." Mia looked back at him, a flicker of emotion dancing in her eyes, and for the first time, uncertainty mingled with hope. "Really?" As he nodded slowly, Jack sensed the fragile threads of their relationship hanging in the balance, teetering on the edge of a choice. Would this day become a turning point for them both, a step toward healing? But deep down, Jack feared what lay ahead. Would Mia truly be ready to forgive? And could he prove that he was more than just a provider but a father who would stand by her side from this moment on? As they stood on the precipice of their choice, another voice echoed behind them, an unexpected figure emerging from the crowd, secrets lurking in their eyes. Would they become a blessing or a barrier in the fragile space of reconnection? Mia turned slowly, her heart dropping as she recognized the figure approaching. It was Sarah, her mom's best friend, a woman who had shared countless family dinners and holiday gatherings before the family had unraveled. Behind her, a pair of curious eyes peeked out. It was a young girl, nondescript but clearly filled with wonder at the assembly around her. "Mia," Sarah called, a brightness in her voice that seemed all too keen for the gravity of the moment. "I didn't know you were graduating today. Look at you, shining like a star." "Thanks, Sarah," Mia replied, her throat tightening as she fought to maintain her composure. Jack shifted uncomfortably, feeling like an intruder in this rapidly shifting scene. Sarah's presence brought a rush of memories, days filled with laughter and warmth, but now they felt laced with sorrow. He had always intended to be the anchor for Mia, to create lasting memories as her father. But now, with others stepping in unexpectedly, it felt like he was losing his grasp on what should have been their moment. "Mia, I want you to meet someone," Sarah said, gesturing to the girl. "This is Emma, my niece. She's visiting for the summer, and I knew she'd love to see a graduation ceremony." "Isn't that exciting? You're her first graduate friend." Mia forced a smile, glancing at Emma, who looked back with wide eyes, soaking in Mia's glory. Jack watched as his daughter's face shifted, an emotional mask breaking for an instant. It was as if she felt the sting of intrusion and pressure to perform for an audience that didn't understand the story beating behind her diploma. "Wow, that's cool. I hope you like ice cream," Mia said, attempting to sound enthusiastic for Emma's sake, while still reeling from her own hurt. Just then, Sarah lowered her voice, an almost conspiratorial tone. "Mia, I just wanted to say how proud you should feel today. I know things have been tough with your dad. We're all rooting for you. You're doing amazing things." Mia's breath hitched, and she swallowed back the tide of emotions threatening to escape. Thanks, Sarah, she said quietly, her gaze drifting from her father to the ground. It's nice to hear. Jack heard the subtext in her words, the push and pull of disappointment nestled in a friend's attempt at comfort. He felt the sharp edge of regret widen. How could he mend a relationship when others stepped in to fill the roles he had neglected? Hey, you should come with us for ice cream, Mia, Emma chimed in, her innocent enthusiasm bubbling like the ice cream itself. Celebrations are so much better with friends. Mia hesitated again, the internal battle visibly churning on her face. Jack could see the tension built within her, the way she glanced back at him, searching for answers he wasn't sure he knew how to give. He took a deep breath, wanting nothing more than to reassure her. Why don't we all go? Jack suggested, his voice steadier than he felt. We can celebrate together. It doesn't have to be just us or just them. Mia looked at him, surprise flaring in her eyes. There was something disarming about the way he reached for her, a mixture of hope and vulnerability that dared her to trust him again. But then that spark of optimism faltered. The fear of letting down her guard, only to be disappointed again, rippled through her. Why yeah, that could be fun, she finally said, though the hesitation lingered in her tone. Right, Emma? Totally. Emma squealed, clearly more interested in the adventure than the emotional undercurrents. Just as Mia nodded slowly, Jack's phone buzzed in his pocket, cutting through the moment. He glanced at the screen and saw a notification from work, another reminder of the life he had chosen that often overrode the one he was desperately trying to build. As he silenced the phone, Mia's expression shifted. You'll come, right? Not just sometimes. Jack's heart tightened at her guarded tone. She was already laying out the terms, testing the waters. I promise. I'm here, and I will be. I want to be, he said, his voice rich with determination, but even as he spoke, Jack felt the shadow of doubt settling on his shoulders. It felt like the moment of truth was still lying ahead of them, an unseen challenge waiting for the moments to unfold. Would they really step into a new chapter, or would the pull of their past prove too strong? They began to walk, a cautious alliance forming between father, daughter, and their unexpected companions. Yet, in the back of Jack's mind, a gnawing fear echoed louder than ever. What secrets were waiting in the back streets, ready to unearth the fragile fabric of their reconnection? The group moved through the throng of graduates and proud families, laughter and applause swirling around them. Jack noticed that Mia lagged a step behind, her face a mixture of forced smiles and distant thoughts. The familiar ache in his chest was back, tightening like a vice. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. Mia, let us take a photo before we go. Sarah suggested, pulling out her phone with a bright smile. Emma, come here. Don't you want a picture with a real-life graduate? Mia hesitated, but Jack wanted to see her spirit shine. He stepped closer, nudging her gently. Come on. It'll be fun. Just you, me, and Emma. Let us make a good memory here. Mia's brows knitted together, and she looked into his hopeful eyes. Emma was already animated, bouncing on her toes, ready for the next adventure. Finally, she sighed and stepped forward. Okay, she said, though her voice was still hesitant. They gathered together, and Sarah positioned them for the shot. Mia glanced sideways at her dad and caught his gaze. There was something in his eyes, a mixture of hope and promise. She smiled back, just a little, and in that heartbeat, it felt like a small crack in the wall she had built. Say ice cream. Sarah called out as she snapped the picture, and Mia almost giggled, the moment fleeting but sweet. After a few seconds, Mia's phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out, and her smile dipped as she read a text. Jack noticed her expression change, the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air. What's up? He asked, bracing himself as the barriers began to rise again. It's a group chat from my friends. Mia's voice was small, and she quickly shoved her phone back into her pocket. They're all hanging out to celebrate tonight. Jack felt a pang of envy mixed with concern. You should go. It's your day, he replied, but he couldn't mask the worry in his tone. Mia bit her lip, glancing at Emma and then back at Jack. Yeah, but I told them I'd be at home celebrating with you. What if we get ice cream now, and you still make it? Jack suggested, desperate to keep her with him, even if just a moment longer. We can meet up later with your friends. We can order pizza or something. You deserve both options today. The bright gleam in Emma's eyes hinted at yet another adventure, and Mia weighed the options, her brow furrowing. Okay, but are you sure? I mean, I don't want to miss out on the fun. Hey, we'll make it happen. I'll drive you wherever you need to go afterward, Jack promised, holding on to the hope that his words could bridge the gap that had grown wide over time. Just then, Sarah chimed in, why don't we get ice cream first? This is a celebration after all and more fun with friends. Mia hesitated but then nodded, if only for the sake of Emma's excitement and Jack's insistence. As they wandered toward the ice cream stand, Mia cast a glance over her shoulder, searching for the warmth of connection that felt so elusive. She caught sight of other families gathering, laughter ringing out, memories being made. For a moment, she felt envy bubble up again. The reassurance Jack tried to offer clashed with the looming insecurity of whether he would truly follow through. Mia? Jack's voice broke her thoughts. Everything okay? Yeah, just thinking, she replied, shrugging it off. But her heart raced, that lingering uncertainty flaring up. Would he really stick around? Suddenly, a loud cheer erupted from a nearby group of graduates, and Mia felt herself get swept into the moment. Jack watched, his heart swelling as she smiled broadly, her hand reaching out to Emma as they rushed to grab ice cream, but as they walked, he couldn't shake off the feeling that this was just the beginning of something more complicated. An undercurrent tugged at him. Would the moment last, or were they just playing pretend in front of the ice cream stand? When shadows lingered in the periphery, the chill of that uncertainty swept over Jack as he looked at Mia, feeling the weight of unspoken truths hanging in the air. Little did they know, another reminder of their fragile reconnection awaited, poised to test their bonds even further before the day was done. The ice cream stand was a riot of colors and scents. As Jack watched Mia and Emma banter about flavors, he feared for just a moment that any progress they'd made was about to be washed away in a tide of doubt. Mia's laughter rang out, but there was a tinge of hesitation behind it, as if she were trying too hard to enjoy the moment while wrestling with something deeper. Hey, what are you getting? Mia shouted over her shoulder, eyes sparkling as she eyed a rainbow sherbet scoop. Jack forced a smile, trying to catch her buoyant energy. I'm thinking classic chocolate. Can't go wrong. Boring. Emma teased, poking at Jack's side playfully. As they cued, Jack noticed Mia's gaze wander again, her thoughts drifting toward her phone, caught somewhere between the past and the present. The warmth of ice cream was nothing compared to the chill creeping into Jack's mind. He could feel the distance rising again like a wall of fog. With their cones in hand, they found a bench under a sprawling oak tree. The sun was warm, wrapping them in a cozy light, but Jack felt the coolness of Mia's demeanor. Emma wasted no time, shoving a spoonful of her mint chocolate chip into her mouth, her eyes lighting up. Mia, however, took a small bite, her expression taut. Jack could sense the weight of her thoughts with every flicker of her eyes toward the crowd. Are you sure you don't want to message your friends? Jack finally asked, summoning courage. You can let them know you're, celebrating with your old man for a while. Mia looked down at her cone. I told them I'd be home. They've been waiting. But I didn't want to ruin your day either. Jack frowned, wanting so desperately to reach across the space between them. You're not ruining anything. Mia, you deserve to celebrate with everyone. I'd never want to hold you back. Just be honest with what's in your heart. Emma piped up, trying to lighten the mood. Ice cream first, friends later. Everyone wins. She wiggled her own cone for emphasis, and Mia couldn't help but chuckle, the moment breaking the tension just a little. As they ate, Jack felt a sense of urgency building inside him. This was fragile, and the longer they danced around the truth, the more likely it would shatter. Mia, he said, his tone serious but soft, what do you really want? Mia's eyes flickered up to meet his. For a heartbeat, Jack thought he saw the barriers lowering. "I want," she started, and then her voice trailed off. It was as though the air was thick with expectation, and getting to the truth felt daunting. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again, stealing her focus. Jack watched as she pulled it out, that familiar tension returning to her face. "It's them," she said quietly, looking back at Jack, battling an inner conflict. "Maybe you should tell them you're with us first," he suggested, but he felt a gnawing sensation clawing at him. What if this was it? What if he pushed too hard, making her retreat again into the shadows? Mia's fingers hovered over the screen, a storm of emotions swirling in her eyes. She took a deep breath. "I'm scared they'll be mad too," she confessed, her voice breaking slightly. "They always wanted me to be part of everything, and I feel like I'm choosing between you and them." Jack reached for her hand instinctively, squeezing gently. "It's good to want both, to find a balance. But you need to listen to what's best for you. Not based on what others expect." At that moment, an unexpected sound, a voice raised in laughter from across the park, caught their attention. A group of graduates was gathered, and the air was alive with joy and celebration. Jack felt Mia's hand tense under his, and for a moment, he could see the strife playing out in her heart again. "Mia," he said, his voice low, "whatever you decide, I'm proud of you. Remember that." For the first time, she looked straight into his eyes, her gaze searching. "But what if I mess everything up?" Jack leaned closer, the noise of the world fading around them. "Then we pick up the pieces together, just like always. I promise." The moment hung delicately between them, the weight of unspoken possibilities pressing down. Around them, the laughter and cheers continued, but both Mia and Jack were lost in their own shared silence, each heartbeat echoing the unsaid words that could reshape everything. And just then, as if the universe conspired to intervene, Emma piped up again, pulling them both back to reality. "Hey! Are we getting back to the party or what? I'm not missing the grand toast for bad connections." Mia's expression flickered between apprehension and exhilaration, and as she looked at Emma, a small smile crept onto her face. "I guess I should go, huh?" But even as the weight of her decision hung thick in the air, Jack could sense the shift before she spoke. What did that mean for them? He held his breath, waiting for an answer that would decide just how fragile their new moment was. What would come next? Mia stood up from the bench, the sun casting a golden hue over her. She glanced between Jack and Emma, the internal battle painting vivid expressions on her face. For a moment, Jack thought he could see her forming a decision, her eyes softening. "Okay," she finally said, her voice steady despite the storm within her. "Let us go." But as she turned from Jack, the courage in her voice felt fragile, like glass waiting to be shattered. Emma grabbed her arm, leading the way. "Come on, we don't have all day. The grand toast is waiting." Jack watched them go, a complex mix of pride and worry swelling in his chest. He wanted Mia to feel empowered, to embrace her friendships while knowing he'd always be there. Yet, the shadows of doubt crept back in. Was he truly doing the right thing? His heart raced, hammering against his ribs as he stood to follow them. As they reached the heart of the celebration, adorned with balloons and laughter, Mia's friends surrounded her. Hugs and cheers filled the air, but Jack felt the distance extending again. He stood at the sidelines, the outsider in a world he used to be part of. He could see Mia laughing, her shoulders relaxing as the warmth of her friends enveloped her. But his own heart ached, the connection they shared now feeling tenuous. Mia tried to catch his eye, but every time, he would look away, not wanting to invade the bubble of happiness she seemed to find. Instead, he turned to the drinks table, pouring himself a cup of lemonade. Every sip felt thick with sweetness and bitterness combined, mirroring his own tumultuous emotions. As the moments passed, he felt an itch at the back of his mind. What would happen when Mia had to give her toast? Would she mention him? Would she share how they struggled, or would she pretend that everything was a perfect fairy tale? He caught snippets of their conversations. Laughter rose and fell around him, but his heart was heavy with unspoken words. Just as he considered slipping away, he heard Emma's voice call out for everyone's attention. "Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your eyes." Emma's enthusiasm was contagious. We're about to get the biggest treat of all. Mia has a little something prepared for us. Mia's hesitation was palpable as she got up from her seat, standing before the group. She was biting her lip, the gesture familiar and endearing. Jack leaned against the table, focusing entirely on her. "Hey everyone," she started, her voice quivering slightly as she scanned the crowd. "I didn't think I'd really be doing this. But sharing moments is really all that matters, so here's to friendships that lift us." Cheers erupted, but Jack held his breath, uncertain of where this would lead. Mia paused, taking a deep breath, stealing a glance at Jack. "And to family that never gives up on us," her voice trembled, a crack revealing deeper emotions. "Even when things seem hard or when choices feel impossible." The crowd responded warmly, but Jack felt the tension mount between them. This wasn't just a light-hearted toast, it felt like she was reaching out across the distance that had grown between them. "Sometimes we feel torn, but love is what ultimately guides us home," Mia continued, her gaze unwavering, yet a fragile vulnerability played on her features. Her words hung in the air, shifting the atmosphere around the celebration, creating a charged pause that seemed to stretch time itself. Just then, a raucous cheer erupted from the crowd, interrupting the stillness. But Jack heard the echo of her words, feeling the weight behind each one. What if this was the moment? The moment everything changed? As the clapping resonated around him, Jack thought he glimpsed understanding dawning in Mia's eyes. The air grew thick as he walked toward her. Could he bridge the gap that had formed? Would she let him in? Their eyes locked, a universe of emotions swirling just between them, and Jack knew nothing would feel the same after this. And then, unexpectedly, Mia broke into a smile, her laughter infectious and bright. "Now, let us celebrate." But the shadows remained. There was so much more to say, moments unsaid hanging like threads waiting to be woven into something greater. As the party resumed, Jack felt the bittersweet pang of change. Each laugh, each moment of joy felt layered with the need for honesty. What would they explore in the conversations yet to come? What would Mia truly reveal about her heart when the moment was right? All he could do was hope that when she was finally ready to speak her truth, he would be there to hold her hand through it all. The moment Mia finished her toast, the air around her felt charged. The crowd erupted in laughter and applause, but Jack felt like he was caught in a whirlwind. Mia's words had tugged at something deep inside him, stirring emotions he thought he kept contained. He stepped back, letting the celebration pulse around him. Faces lit up with joy, yet in the center of it all, he felt the looming uncertainty about what the rest of the night would bring. The sweet taste of lemonade turned sour in his mouth, almost echoing the turmoil swirling in his heart. Emma danced over to him, her eyes sparkling. "Did you see her? She was amazing," she exclaimed, her smile wide. But for Jack, the brilliance of Mia's performance was clouded, overshadowed by the unspoken words still hanging heavily between them. "Yeah," Jack replied, forcing a smile. "Really great." Emma could sense his hesitation. "What's up? You look like you just bit into a lemon." "It's a party. Come on." She bounced on her feet, eager to pull him into the festivities. Songs played, people mingled, but Jack felt stuck, trapped between wanting to celebrate with Mia and needing to address their distance. Jack watched as Mia was swept into the warmth of her friends, their laughter ringing like music. But he could see the lingering tension in her shoulders. She was smiling, yes, but something deeper flickered in her eyes. A fear? A longing? It was a look that tugged at him, urging him to act. Without thinking, he crossed the grassy yard, weaving through small groups before finally arriving at her side. "Mia?" he said, his voice breaking through the revelry around them. She turned, and their eyes met. The connection electrified the space between them. "Mia, I loved your toast," he finally managed, his voice steadier than he felt. "It was beautiful." "Thank you." She smiled softly, though her gaze flickered away for a moment, as if grappling with thoughts she couldn't yet voice. "I didn't want to make it awkward." "That's not how it felt," Jack quickly interjected. "It felt real. Like you were reaching out." Her smile faded slightly, and her brow furrowed. Jack could see her battling with herself, the storm rising again beneath her calm exterior. She started, then hesitated. There's so much I want to say, but it's hard. Sometimes I feel like I'm not ready. Jack felt a lump form in his throat. You don't have to be ready right now. Just know I'm here. I always will be. His heart pounded with every syllable as he stepped a fraction closer, hoping to bridge what had been lost. I know, she whispered, a hint of relief flashing in her eyes. But so much has changed. As people rushed by them, the joyous noise of the party faded into a background hum. This was their moment, wrapped in a fragile silence that pulsed with unspoken truths. Maybe we could talk. Just you and me, Jack suggested, his hands nervously fidgeting by his sides. Somewhere quieter? The flicker of worry returned to Mia's expression, uncertainty clouding her gaze. She remained quiet for a heartbeat, and in that second, a million thoughts raced through Jack's mind. Would she step back? Would she let him in? Finally, she nodded slowly. Okay, maybe we need to. With a nervous breath, Jack extended his hand, the gesture simple yet loaded with hope. Mia took it, her fingers fitting perfectly with his, and suddenly the chaos of the celebration seemed miles away. They walked toward a quieter corner of the yard, where the lights twinkled above like stars, illuminating a space just for them. Jack's heart pounded in rhythm with their steps. He was painfully aware that the words they were about to share could either bridge the gap or widen it further. What would happen if they finally faced the unspoken fears and shared their truths? Would it lead to a new beginning, or would it shatter the delicate connection they were striving to rebuild? The air around them thickened with anticipation, and in that moment, Jack knew they were standing on the edge of something profound. As they reached the secluded spot, he took a deep breath, ready to dive into the complexities of their emotions. Would she share what was truly weighing on her? Would he? And as the soft hum of the party faded, their uncharted conversation was about to begin. Jack found himself standing just a breath away from Mia, the soft glow of the twinkling lights framing the moment. The air felt different here, it held a weight, a tension that echoed with both fear and hope. His heart raced, caught between the urgency to speak and the dread of saying the wrong thing. Mia, he said softly, finally breaking the silence that hung between them. What has been going on? You don't have to carry this alone. Her eyes lowered for a moment, as if searching for the right words at the bottom of the grass. It's just everything feels different now. We've changed, she admitted. I've changed. I thought maybe we could just go back to how things used to be. Jack felt a pang of regret. Returning to the past felt impossible, yet it lingered like a dream he could never quite grasp. But what if we could make it better? Not just go back, but really talk about it? A flicker of something crossed her face, fear, uncertainty, or perhaps the spark of something greater. I want to be honest, she whispered, her voice trembling ever so slightly. But I'm scared, Jack. What if we can't fix this? The raw honesty in her words hit him like a wave, pulling him deeper into the moment. I'm scared too, he confessed, his heart laid bare. But I'd rather be scared with you than safe without you. You mean so much to me. Mia's gaze lifted, locking onto his. There was a fire behind her eyes, a flicker of defiance against the walls they had built around themselves. You really mean that? Absolutely, he said, conviction pouring from him. You've been my best friend for so long, and I don't want to lose that. I want to be part of your life, even if it's hard. The quiet night enveloped them, holding their truth like a fragile secret. As the party continued in the background, the laughter and music fading into a distant melody, the world around them ceased to matter. With a deep breath, Mia began, remember last summer, when things were so simple? Her voice dipped, almost wistful. I've been trying to hold on to that, but life got complicated. I didn't know how to talk about it, about us. I felt like I was drifting. Jack moved a step closer, a wave of empathy swelling in him. I felt that drift too. I thought I was the only one. But Mia, we can't ignore it. Her eyes glistened, reflecting the lights above. I miss us, Jack. The laughter, the adventures, it felt so easy then. But it seems so far away now. What if we can find our way back? He asked, his voice steady, filled with resolve. What if we create something new together? We have to try, don't we? A hint of a smile tugged at her lips, fighting against her worry. Maybe we do. As they shared that moment, a shift began to occur, a glimmer of hope breaking through the shadows that had lingered too long. Jack felt a warmth spread through him, lighting up the dark corners of doubt, yet, just as the air lightened, a sudden burst of laughter from the party disrupted the stillness, drawing them back to reality. Mia chuckled softly, shaking her head. What are we doing? We can't just stand here forever. There was a playful edge to her voice, underscoring the seriousness of their conversation. Jack laughed, feeling a spark of relief. You've got a point. But can we at least agree to keep talking? Don't let this be a one-time thing. Definitely, she replied, a renewed steadiness in her voice. As they were about to step back into the swirl of laughter and music, Jack felt a pitter-patter of anxiety in his chest. Mia, what if we're not as fixed as we hope? What if we fall apart again? She turned, and there was a flicker of something ineffable in her gaze. Then we'll fix it. Together. In that moment, they stood on the brink of a promise, a decision to rebuild, however fragile, however terrifying. It was a pact born from uncertainty, yet laced with bravery. They were both stepping into the unknown, but little did they know, the night had more in store for them than just a conversation in the shadows. Something was stirring in the lingering crowd that would challenge everything they thought they knew. The laughter from the party swelled, engulfing Jack and Mia in a tide of noise that reminded them of how genuine their connection felt right then, yet also how fragile it could be. With a shared glance that spoke volumes, they stepped back into the main area, where lights danced above a flurry of familiar faces. Jack scanned the crowd, his pulse quickening with the energy of the celebration mixed with a palpable sense of displacement. Things had shifted dramatically between him and Mia, and now they were entering the chaos laden with unspoken words. Mia, seemingly buoyed by their conversation, began to engage more with their friends. Jack followed her lead, laughing and joking along, but inside, his heart was racing. He was acutely aware of how delicate their moment had been, how quickly joy could slip back into doubt. Jack. Come on, man. You have to join this game. A friend called out from the other side of the gathering, waving him over. Mia smiled encouragingly. Go, have fun. We can chat later. Are you sure? Jack hesitated, glancing back at her. The spark between them still flickered, but the weight of uncertainty lingered in the air. Definitely. I'll be right here, she assured, a nod followed by a quick, bright smile. Reluctantly, he joined the group, the noise around him fading in and out. He played a few rounds of charades, trying to shake off the heavy thoughts clinging to him. Yet, even in the laughter and the cheers, he found himself stealing glances at Mia. She was animated, engaged, but there were times Jack caught a hint of sadness etched in the corners of her eyes. As the night wore on, the atmosphere tinged with excitement escalated, the dance floor pulsed with energy, and the kitchen became a hub of late-night snacks and chatter. He wanted to connect, to share this moment with Mia in the same effortless way they once had, but each time he approached her, something halted him at the edge of conversation. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he spotted Mia standing near a group of guests, visibly swallowing hard. Jack felt his heart sink when he noticed a couple of friends whispering, glancing between Mia and something behind her. Curiosity stirred within him, and he carefully inched closer. Just as he reached her, Mia stepped away, her expression pinched with confusion, and before he could ask what was wrong, the noise of the crowd shifted. Someone was standing up at a makeshift podium, clearly ready to make a toast. Mia. Jack called, trying to catch her attention, but she was already caught up in the moment. The crowd hushed, and he felt a wave of worry creep in. Mia's been such a joy to have at our gatherings, a friend began. But Jack's heart raced because he could see it, the way Mia's breath quickened, the way her fingers fidgeted. She was anxious, and something was brewing. Did she know about the whispers? Then, the moment came. And I think it's time, Mia, for you to share what we call a heartfelt toast. Jack's heart dropped. Mia stepped toward the podium, her face pale, a hint of uncertainty flashing through her gaze. The crowd buzzed with excitement. She'd always been a natural in front of them. But tonight felt different. "Mia, wait," Jack whispered, feeling the weight of the moment as it threatened to unfold in a way he could not predict. But Mia was already at the center, microphone in hand. She took a deep breath, her eyes darting over the crowd, and for a moment, Jack wasn't sure what would come next. Would she open up? Would she address the elephant in the room, or was this just a casual night among friends? And then she began, her voice shaking. "Hey everyone, can we talk about the elephant?" The crowd leaned in, and Jack's own breath hitched. Whatever came next, it would shift everything all over again, just like the night had already begun to unravel. Jack could only watch and hope that Mia would step into this moment, fully embracing it, just as they had vowed to do earlier. But little did either of them know, the revelations this night held were only just beginning. Mia stood at the podium, her heart racing, and she took a deep breath. The anticipation in the air buzzed like an electric shock. Everyone's eyes were on her, and that familiar feeling of vulnerability wrapped around her like a warm blanket. "Hey everyone, can we talk about the elephant?" She began, her voice quivering slightly. The audience leaned in, a hush falling over the noise of celebration. Jack held his breath, his heart pounding in his chest. What would she say? Would she share her truth? The tension felt thick, almost tangible. She continued, "I know graduation is a time for joy, but it's also a time to reflect." Her voice grew steadier, fueled by the energy of her friends. "Lately, I've been thinking about what it means to show up for each other. Growing up, I had this feeling, like a little piece of me was always missing." Mia's eyes met Jack's, and for a moment, the world around them faded away. "I thought it was about being perfect or just being successful, but maybe it's about being real. I've often felt like I was drifting, wishing for something more, wishing for someone." She glanced at Jack again, vulnerability painted all over her face. Someone to really be there. Jack's heart swelled. She was brave, she was finally pouring out the feelings they had hidden for too long. The weight of unspoken words felt lighter somehow, just by the act of naming them. "And I know my dad cares about me, and he works so hard. But sometimes," her voice cracked slightly, "sometimes I needed him to just be there. Not for the celebrations, but for the small moments, the everyday." Around her, the crowd was silent, completely wrapped in her emotions. "I don't want to keep waiting for tomorrow, or a better moment. I want to start living in the present." The weight of her confession resonated in the air, like the sweet sound of a bell ringing clear after a storm. "Dad, you've sacrificed so much, and I see that, but I want us to build something fresh from today. Let us promise to show up in each other's lives. Are you with me?" Jack felt tears prick his eyes as he watched Mia bare her soul, reaching out for him, and he nodded, unable to find his voice just yet. And then, the applause erupted like fireworks. Cheers filled the air as Mia stepped down from the podium. She looked radiant, like a beacon of hope standing tall amongst the chaos. Jack rushed to her, enveloping her in a fierce hug, and he could feel the weight of emotions crashing around them. "Mia, I'm so proud of you," he whispered, his heart full of gratitude and renewed purpose. "I promise I'll do better. I'll be there, every step of the way." Mia pulled back, eyes shining, a flicker of incredulity dancing within. "You mean it?" "Absolutely," he said, holding her gaze with unwavering conviction. "From here on, I want to be part of your life, not just a ghost in the background." With that, something shifted between them, the fragility replaced by an unyielding bond. They stood together as healing began, both capable of forgiving the distance created by unspoken truths. In that moment, Mia's friends gathered around them, clapping and cheering, their joy washing over the two of them like a warm surge of encouragement. Jack felt the warmth of family and friendship wrap around him as he chuckled at how chaotic but wonderful this very moment felt. "Let us celebrate," Emma declared, and in that instant, everyone burst into laughter and chatter, the tension dissipating under the joyful energy that pulsed through the crowd. As they wandered back towards the laughter and lights, Jack felt lighter, more hopeful than he had in years. With Mia by his side, He knew they could tackle whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, their journey wasn't perfect, but it was filled with sincerity, laughter, and a promise to always show up for each other, to be real, to be here, to build something greater than themselves. And at that moment, with the sounds of love and laughter surrounding them, Jack knew that he wouldn't trade this for anything in the world. So don't let this moment pass you by. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories that inspire and transform. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Seriously, it makes all the difference. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to support the channel. Don't wait not even one more second.